contributor or not. I happen to think he did contribute quite a bit. Obviously, the issues going on there make it more difficult on your team. Obviously, the Jets are no stranger to troublemaker players, and they're going to get used to it. They're going to get used to the Percy Harvin show really quick.
Yeah, absolutely. And talk to me a bit about that. What do you think? What do you think happens in New York with him? I mean, like you said, they're not afraid of problem players. That's for sure.
Well, obviously, if they go out and they get a guy like this, Rex Ryan thinks he could do something. Now, there's a lot of things Rex Ryan is from my time that I can tell you from my time back in New York and dealing with the Jets as well as the Giants. There's one thing we definitely know about Rex is he knows how to motivate people. And even when you give him a difficult task like this, let's face it, Percy Harvin can have a migraine every day and have to walk off the practice field every day. And listen, let's not make a joke about it, Jerry. I suffer from migraines too, and you know that it does take a toll on you.
Oh yeah,
it puts you in bed, and the worst thing you want to do is have a migraine and then have to go out and be on the practice field. You can't function because you got to stay away from bright lights. You got to be in a dark room. You got to cut out all the sound. That's the only way to get better. And even when you're taking medication for it, it doesn't go away right away. So it depends really on what's causing his migraines, whether it's displacement of the spine, which is what it is in my case, or when you have a head injury, a neck injury, you could get a lot of migraines. People suffer differently for different reasons. Getting past that, how he's going to behave on the team, he could either be welcomed with open arms and he could catch 5 touchdown passes in the next 4 weeks, or he could be, with 3 games left to go in the season, the guys in the locker room could be saying, what did we make this trade for? It could go either way with this at this point. We don't really know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that thing plays itself out there. I don't know. A guy with issues in New York, and maybe they all pull together and sing Kumbaya and ride on a 9-game winning streak, 8-game winning streak or something here and run it off. But I think it's just going to go from bad to worse there. But maybe not. I mean, I like Percy Harvin, but I saw some in the chat room somebody say, why wouldn't the Browns make a trade for? I wouldn't have wanted to bring that over here, to be honest with you, man. You got too many young players on this team, man. I'm not trying to do that.
But I'm going to say this, okay? One of the guys I used to work with who is very much in tune with what's going on with the Jets, and he's doing a documentary movie about Jet fans who lost their seats because of the personal seat licenses. And I messaged him on Sunday, and I said, hey, what's up? Are you watching this game? He said, you know what? I'm not even paying attention. I'm out to dinner with my wife. He says, that's how far I've come from not caring about what's going on this year with the Jets.
Dr. Football, my man, joining us as he does every Tuesday, talking some NFL. We're talking a little Percy Harvin there, looking around the rest of the AFC North. I got a couple minutes here before we get out of here. Baltimore, Cincinnati, 2 different directions with their games the other day. Cincinnati romped by Indianapolis. Obviously, that's a good Colts team over there, so I'm not just going to rail on the Bengals. But, man, the Bengals are not – I wasn't buying that they were Super Bowl caliber when they had that hot run to start the season, and I'm not buying that they're as bad as they looked either. But, man, Cincinnati's a team with some issues. Meanwhile, Baltimore, to me, when everybody said Cincy, then Baltimore, I said, you guys got that backwards. I said, Baltimore is still the best team in the AFC North right now, and we're seeing that at least in the middle part of the season.
And, it's really funny because I said the same thing when people said to me, oh, the Bengals, big run, open the season here. How can they not win 11 or 12 games? And I said, dude, it's Marvin Lewis. He's a good
Andy
coach,
Dalton.
But he's not inhuman. He makes mistakes.
I know. Trust me. Hey, listen. This is you're talking about Cincinnati here. I got no problem, man. But yeah, I just wasn't with it. They're not terrible. They're a good team. They've got pieces and all of that stuff. I'm not an Andy Dalton guy. As those of you that have listened to the show know, I am not an Andy Dalton guy at all. But I disagree. See, this is where some people will just completely look at things a different way than others. Bruce doesn't care much for the Browns or the NFL, so he says the whole division is weak. I completely disagree. I think the North is a hell of a competitive division, but it's apples to oranges. People will look at things and see this one way, and some people will look at things and see that the other way. I like the parity. Listen, I think a lot of it is artificially created by the NFL, and I'm not necessarily a big fan of that. But then again, the second wild card, the first wild card, is artificially created by Major League Baseball too, and it keeps teams like Cleveland and Seattle and Kansas City and Oakland into the wild card chase all the way into the last game of the season. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I'll take advantage of it when it works out for my team, too. So it is what it is. Dr. Football, last word from you. Do the Browns turn it around and take care of business against Derek Carr and the Raiders coming down to the lakeside?
Well, I want to say one thing. If there's any one team was in the NFL, it's the Oakland Raiders.
Oh, that's the curse of death. Why'd you say that?
I'm surprised. I'm pile on this team on Sunday and score 2 more touchdowns than they did, and that it wasn't 35 or 38 to 13.
You know what?
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you just reminded me, you got a chance to see them up close, the Raiders, the other day against the Cardinals, and Carson Palmer had another good performance for him, getting back in there at quarterback as the Cardinals continue to surprise people. But you saw the Raiders up close and personal, man. So are they as dysfunctional as they seem to appear from afar?
Yeah, you really give a good look, you give a good examination to this team, and you wonder what hole is going to open up next, and what you're going to have to plug. And any team that fires their coach over the phone, I respect them for that. Just for that, you got to give the coach at least. I don't care how terrible the guy is or how terrible the guy was. You have to at least respect the guy enough that if you're going to cut him loose, you're going to cut him loose face to face.
I hear you. Trust me, we talked about that when it happened. So, the one thing I worry about is that running backs have gotten healthy against the Browns. That's for sure. We saw Denard Robinson break out. We've seen others throughout this season. And, they got a decent one over there in Oakland. And so it may be the game for Darren McFadden to get untracked there. You never know. There's things to worry about, but I think the Browns' home cooking will do them some good this weekend. We'll talk about it, Bill, next week. We'll talk about all of the NFL action and all the latest with the Browns. We'll see if they get that snap that losing streak at 1, or if we've got some rough waters looking ahead.
Yeah, and we'll see now, because now you're in the stretch. Now you're in that middle part of the season. Those middle couple of games that are going to really determine whether or not your team is in position to do well down in the stretch, or if it's going to be let's pack it in early and let's start talking about the hockey and basketball.
Yep, I'm going to talk about hockey next, but it's not because I'm packing it in, just because it's next up on the show. So that was a good segue. Dr. Football, have a great week this week. Enjoy the latest week of NFL action, and get back here Tuesday, and we'll talk about it.
Absolutely. I'll text you on Sunday during the game.
You got it. My man, Dr. Football Bill Chachkes, with us every Tuesday, going around the NFL. We're going to take a break. When we come back, dropping the puck with my man, Doug Plagens. It's time to feel like a monster here on the Sports Fix. Monsters feel like getting back home after this weekend, but we'll talk about the Monsters. Tough one for them. They try to shake it off as they go back on the road. Doug Plagens of the Lake Erie Monsters in the house next here on the Sports Fix.
Warning. Listening to the Sports Fix could cause serious injury, bodily harm, or even death.
Ah, broken blood vessel!
You've been warned. The Sports Fix.
Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize.
I mean, a really real prize.
Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs. There's literally only one place to go. FantasyJocks.com. The Sports Fix is now available every day on the world's largest internet radio service, iHeartRadio. Download the free iHeartRadio app, subscribe to the show, and get your fix.
This is what matters. This is beyond X's and O's. This is the difference mutual respect makes. This is what character looks like. This is what This is sportsmanship. School sports. It's not the outcome that matters most, but the way the games are played. This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Back in 1990, when I joined Herb in the booth, you could say that first game was when I became a lifelong Tribe fan. Something about Cleveland made us want to stay and call it our home, raise our family here. I can promise you one thing, home or on the road, I feel what you folks feel, what you feel every game. Cleveland fans are passionate and pretty vocal. I respect that. This is our team. This is our town.
Hi, this is Dean Chenoweth, head coach of Cleveland's Sports Fix.
Feel like a monster.
The secret side of me, I never let you see. I keep it caged, but I can't control.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix live across the Sports Fix Radio Network. J-Rock back with you here as we roll on here, nearing the end of the show, but not quite done just yet. The Lake Erie Monsters going. My man Doug Plagens is going to join us here in just a moment, as he does most Tuesdays throughout the hockey season and even during the off season as well. Love getting a chance to catch up with Doug Plagens, talk some Monsters hockey. We'll do that in just a moment. You guys, I know I said I'm going to open the phone lines. I will before we're done, but we're rolling. Got to hit us up on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix, CLE. Email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com, and keep yourself in touch with us. And let me know if you got any questions as well for Doug Plagens. Hit me up again. Tweet with me at The Sports Fix, CLE, and we will gladly ask Doug your questions as we roll on. Speaking of Doug, let me just do that. Let's go to the phones now. I'll quiet down and turn him on up. Doug Plagens, my man. How you doing today, buddy?
Doing great. How are you?
Hey, I'm fantastic, man. And, I know it could have been a better weekend for the Monsters here this weekend, but you're going to have them like that from time to time.
Yeah, it wasn't obviously a weekend that went according to plan for the Monsters, dropping 2 straight in Chicago. And, the first one, I'd say, was probably closer than 4-0, but Chicago pulled away at the end, a couple late ones in the third period to make it 4-0. Saturday, they started coming early in the game, and they never stopped, and their power play really clicked, and that's a very good hockey team, and a team that's going to be very good all season long. They're very deep. They have the personnel. They'd be able to withstand a couple of call-ups, and they're very experienced. So, that's a team that's going to be tough to knock off all season long, and they won the Midwest Division last season. They're a very different-looking team this year in a lot of ways, and they look like they're going to be right there all season. And the thing with Chicago that's interesting is they started the season 0-10 on the power play, and last season that team won their division and had 100 points while being dead last in the AHL on the power play, which is virtually unheard of. Which makes you think, how scary could they have been if they did click on the power play? And first couple of games went in the books this season. Their power play was 0-10. You're thinking, is this going to be the same thing again with the Chicago Wolves? And lo and behold, it just took a couple of games, but the power play started clicking, and that's really what swung everything on Saturday night. They were able to cash in on the power play a couple of times, and that turns things around. As we've seen so much, not just in the AHL, but in the game of hockey today, when your power play or your penalty kill or both are clicking, you can win games just because of that. And that's really what jump-started Chicago on Saturday night, especially, is that they were able to come with some power.